We've spent an entire winter season in a ski area in this van. And now that this season comes to an end, we would like to share how we did that, some tips and tricks so that you can maybe do the same. So on a typical winter sport holiday thing, people easily spend €2,000 plus for a week. And a big part of that is your stay, your accommodation. But with the van, you have the option to be at certain spots which are free, so you can cut on these expenses big time. So I would say a van is an extremely convenient option if you want to spend the entire season. So what we have learned is that at least at these big resorts, they have this gigantic parking spaces, and that's what we use most of the time. So that works for us at the big resorts, but we also went to some smaller resorts, and what we did there mostly is there's this app called Park for Night. We always check that first if there is a spot on there, and if there isn't, we open Google Maps and we pinch in some bigger areas on the map that look like a potential spot for our van. This doesn't always result in the best experience, but in my opinion, you're in a ski resort, not to have the best parking, but to go skiing, to go snowboarding. If you do want a little bit more luxury, there are really good deals to be made with campsites for a season place. We spoke to some people who did that, and we recall they paid in and around 2,000 grand for the entire season, but then they're on a campsite and they can use the swimming pool and the sauna and all these facilities that obviously we don't have. Also, what we used ourselves was a really simple official campsite. We paid $10 per night, but that allowed us to refuel our water supply. Sometimes we had to charge the batteries because it would be a lot of snow or something, and we could do that there as well. Sometimes it was just nice to be 100% legal, knowing that there is no chance of them sending you away. Have we been sent away? Once, yeah, but luckily only this entire season we've been sent away once. With this gigantic truck, so I guess that also portrays that it's pretty doable. And another big cost is the actual ticket to make use of the lift in the ski area. But the thing with these prices is that one day is crazy expensive, a week still, a month is already a lot cheaper. But you can buy these, at least where we are, you can buy the season tickets. And it's actually a surprising good deal to buy a season ticket for the whole area, because if you compare that to the day price, you roughly need 16 days to use the ski resort to break even on the season ticket. So yeah, buy the season ticket because that's a good value for money. For some it might seem obvious, but another huge cost can be rental gear. Do that 2 or 3 times and you already could buy the gear. That would be our tip, is to own your own stuff, fix your own stuff, wax it yourself, repair it yourself. Yeah, you save a lot by doing that. So the cool thing about being the entire season in this area is that you can be sort of picky when you're going. If you're hardcore and you want to go every day, have at it, but we also worked in between and we did other things in between, so we could be a little bit more picky on when to go. And that includes avoiding high season. For where we are, that is mainly February, so we weren't much on the slopes then, because it's just a less fun experience when there are like gigantic rows in front of ski lifts that you're used to just step in, because you're here for the entire season and it's pretty quiet off season. Having lived in our former vans, we soon discovered that it's a really nice thing to be able to have your resources for a longer time, because that, especially in a place like this, because some ski resorts are just at a higher elevation and it takes some time to get there. So once you arrive, it's kind of nice to be there longer than 2 days, for example. So resource management helps a lot, being able to take a lot of water, gas, electricity, whatever you use, to be able to store a lot of that. I would say just helps to also relax a bit more, because you can be longer in a certain place, settle down a bit, have a good time before you have to go leave the spot for your resources. Another thing we've learned is that your resources can be more expensive in winter. Obviously, you need to keep the van warm. Maybe like us, you also use a wood stove and you combine it with your diesel heater, and that now becomes a cost. Also, with now and then charging electricity at a campsite, our resources got more expensive. So another thing is we're kind of big and we're not that agile when it comes to mountain roads. So we had to learn this season that we didn't need it to be parked at the ski lift constantly, because at least in the area that we are in, ski buses is a really big thing. So what we discovered is better for us to park a bit down the valley, near a bus stop would be nice, and then just take the ski buses, which in some cases just go every 10 minutes or every 15 minutes, and they take you all the way up the road. And keep in mind, if you're going to be on the slopes a lot, your clothes and your gear is just going to be soaking wet. We use a rack, we put it next to our wood stove. We use a lot of our ventilations to keep the humidity at a good level, but that's something to keep in mind. I hope you learned something from our experience. We had a really good time spending the winter season in a van, and we most probably going to do it again next season. So stay tuned. Remember, it's not about the van. The van should be a means to an end, in this case snowboarding. And see you in the next one.